best advice?
No matter what you're undertaking, no matter what you're trying to do your very best and enjoy it, because I don't want anyone to be at work and to be excellent at their job but hate their job, or to do well but not do their best.
Welcome to the Rogue L&D Hot Shots podcast, a short podcast allowing you to meet some of the brilliant folk driving people performance and development forward in an informal and human way. My name's Tom Bailey, award-winning L&D leader and passionate maverick for all things development. Join me as I ask just 10 questions of some of the industry's most innovative and interesting people. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Wayne. I am 40 years old. I have 2 children and 1 wife. I'm from London, by way of the Caribbean. I've been in learning and development for many years. I'm also the founder of a L&D consultancy called the BRX Group, and we specialize in helping organizations to maximize the potential of their people through a range of different programs.
What are you passionate about?
What's really important to me, what I'm really passionate about, is you can't ever forget the learner and the learning experience. I think sometimes in learning and development, we care so much about the learning outcomes and the program's going to cost this and justification for things. And we sometimes forget about the actual learner going through it. Is this going to be engaging for them? Is this going to be meaningful in their day-to-day work? How is it going to contribute to the wider success of the organization? I think sometimes it's very easy, especially when you move up, to lose track of those kind of things. And it's very important for me just to never forget what it's like to be the learner and never forget the learner experience.
What's the best L&D you've seen?
One of the best programs I've ever seen, it wasn't one of my own, so I wouldn't toot my own horn that much, but they're a big global company and they have different divisions. And I had a chance to go to the US to spend some time with the team in California, and just obviously the 10 times the size of the Australian operations. And I think my team was about 5, her team was about 25 kind of things. Just when you just see everything on a bigger scale, when there's more resources, more engagement, more buying, more everything. They had development pathways and learning initiatives for every single function in the business. No matter what you wanted to do, no matter where you wanted to go, there was an L&D pathway and program that supported it. And sometimes it was just online content, or here are some resources. And sometimes it was more formalized programs where, hey, you can spend some time in that department to learn more about it, to see if it's something you'd like to get more exposure to and that type of thing. And I thought their retention rate was through the roof in the organization. They promoted within massively. And for me, it's one of the most comprehensive programs I've ever seen. You could literally probably take their program and insert it into sort of any other business, and it would actually work probably, given the amount of frameworks and how formalized they work with things. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Favorite hand gesture?
So it's not a hand gesture. So I've recently started sort of, a while ago, recording some of my sessions in training, just to kind of like get more awareness about how you're being perceived or your nonverbal communication, that kind of thing. And there's something I always say in training before I move on with a topic or a subject, I say to people, are there any questions, issues, comments, or concerns? I never want to say to people, is there anything anyone doesn't understand? Because people are less inclined to kind of say, I don't understand. So I always say, but when I do that, I've noticed in videos, I always do this. Are there any questions, comments, questions, or concerns? And I sort of, this is the question or comments or concerns dance kind of thing, just the kind of thing. So maybe not an official hand gesture, but it's something that, I don't know, subconsciously that I end up doing in most sessions for some reason.
One thing you didn't learn?
So for me, probably it's parenting. There was no handbook, there was no class. Our kids were planned, I should say. I'd like to say they were not planned. So I've now got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I feel like I'm on the other side of parenting now, in the sense of you finally start to feel human again and that kind of thing. So it's been an interesting journey, especially I think from like a learning and development perspective, right? Because the things that work in the classroom do not work with your 4-year-old, or the things that typically work with adults don't work with kiddies, and you can't reason with them all the time and that kind of thing. So I think I could write a book on parenting now, like most parents probably could. So I'd say, yeah, parenting probably the thing that I haven't had to learn, but I've had to find my way for sure.
Proudest moment?
So for me, I think I've been in this space for a long time. So you have a lot of wins and you learn a lot over your time. I think for me, it was the very first time I got direct feedback from a participant for one of my programs, and we all do sort of the feedback surveys and that kind of thing. So it wasn't that or people anecdotally have a chat with you afterwards. It was actually someone took the time to write me an email, quite lengthy, really talking about what a great experience they had, and they've had bad experiences in the past, and it was fun, and it was engaging, and it was useful, and they could apply it to their job. And just for me, the first time that happened, that someone took the time to sort of put that effort in or give me that sort of feedback, particularly when I was still relatively new in the space, was very, very meaningful for me. I still have the email somewhere in the archive somewhere, and it's something that sort of, it's maybe reminded me or confirmed for me at the time that, yeah, Wayne, you are good at this stuff and you can add some value in this space, and this L&D stuff is for you, that kind of thing. So for me, probably that's one of the, going back a long time, but one of the proudest moments, I would say.
Worst experience in L&D?
One experience for me, this was just before I actually entered into learning and development, and I was in a training program, and I was youthful and well-intentioned and keen to learn. And the facilitator for a big chunk of the day pretty much read from an instruction manual that was about this thick. And no matter, like I said, I was well-intentioned, and I was keen to learn, and I was attentive. And no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't focus. I couldn't give it my best. I was struggling to stay awake. It was a real struggle. And for me, it was just, I still remember it to this day, just the thing that always reminded me, you've got to put the learner first. You've got to put the learning experience at the forefront of whatever you do in that learning space, because even somebody that has the best of intentions, if it's just not engaging or not meaningful or just not a well-run session or program, you're not going to get the very best out of them no matter what. And for me, that was sort of, maybe it's good because one of my very worst experiences was very early in my L&D career, or just before I got into L&D. So it always reminded me just sort of, oh gosh, you've got to be engaging. You've got to be, the programs have to make sense. It's got to be conversational. It's got to be hands-on learning, no matter what the subject matter is. And this was financial services, so not the most riveting subject matter in the world, but you can still do better than reading from a guide this thick.
Best celebrity moment?
So in my youth, I used to play basketball at a pretty decent level. You're always as good as you remember you were. So in my mind, I'm still as good as I was when I was 17. Of course, I can still do everything that I could do back then. And was a community basketball program in a area of South London called Brixton. And one summer, we had Shaquille O'Neal, four-time NBA champion and superstar, visit us to just maybe 10-15 minutes, have a chat and have a look at us training and that kind of thing. And obviously everybody was doing their very best, and afterwards pretty much the whole team, all of our various age groups, all got to take a picture with Shaq all together. And then this was back in the days of sort of local newspaper, and everybody was eagerly waiting for the local newspaper to come out the next week to see their picture with Shaquille O'Neal, right, NBA superstar. And the editor, who I don't know who they are, obviously, but they decided to go with a picture. Instead of everybody all together with Shaquille O'Neal, they went with a picture of 7-foot-tall Shaquille O'Neal with the daughter of one of our coaches. That was only obviously sort of 4'0" kind of thing, just for the contrast in the picture, I assume, from a editorial perspective kind of thing. But never in my life have I wanted to be a 4'0" 7-year-old girl more in my life than when we saw that picture in the newspaper, because it was our closest claim to fame, and the picture's in oblivion somewhere. So still remember it, I guess.
Something not many people know about you?
Again, a sporting related one. So I used to do track and field as well, before anyone knew who Usain Bolt was, another famous Jamaican. But I once ran a sub 12 seconds for the 100 meters at under 16s, which at the time was lightning quick. Is one thing not many people know about me. And the other maybe different fact, people say to me sometimes that I'd be a very good poker player because it's sometimes hard to read my emotions or tell what I'm thinking. And I recently did a program around emotional intelligence, and part of that was an assessment on myself. And I'm actually scored sort of, I think, 98th percentile in my ability to read and perceive emotions in other people, which not many people know about me. So I'm quite a good empath, or quite perceptive in that space.
Best advice.
I guess in my time in learning and development, I've learned a lot of different things, and some programs or you get exposed to things that you can kind of apply to yourself or kids or that kind of thing. So one thing that I say to learners and my children and myself, or one thing I think it kind of can apply across many fields, is always do your very best and have fun. And something I try and really instill into the kids. And my son recently had his first competitive swimming carnival, and it was and he pushed himself to kind of do the 50 meters versus the 25, and he's an average swimmer, so he did okay. But just, did you do your very best and did you have fun? And the answer was yes, with a big smile on his face. And that's all I want from him. From an L&D perspective, it's the same thing I say to learners: is if no matter what you're undertaking, no matter what you're trying to do your very best and enjoy it. Because I don't want anyone to be at work and to be excellent at their job but hate their job, or to do well but not do their best or not challenge themselves. You know what I mean? So for me, it's do your very best and try and have fun.
Thank you to our guest and to you for listening. If you want to boost the impact of your organisation's people development practices, I'd love to connect. You can find me at thomasbailey.co. Alternatively, you can look me up on LinkedIn.